New Age to Jesus pipeline. Have you heard of this? I didn't realize that this was actually a thing that's going on or a thing that's being spoken about. I do have an awareness that there's a lot of people that are transitioning from the lives that they've lived, a lot of people that are converting into Christianity or being followers of Jesus, but I didn't actually know to the extent of this Jesus to New Age pipeline. I don't even want to call it that. But a lot of the backlash that I'm hearing within more of the spiritual community is that people are switching over from New Age and then like turning their Christianity into a business. I didn't realize it was a thing. I do believe Jesus is pursuing us. Like I can't say that he's not, because I didn't go looking for Jesus. And can I say never would I have ever imagined being in Avalon on a priestess pilgrimage and Jesus, Yeshua, rolling up on me? No, I'm still blown away. It has changed my life. It's changed my life. Nothing, I was not looking for Jesus. Can I just stress that? I was not looking for Jesus. Anything but Jesus is probably like more of the vein of where I would have been. Not that I didn't believe in Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and like that, but like Jesus, like biblical Jesus, was not looking for him at all, but he's pursuing us because he loves us and we are that holy family. So, like, it could be the same for these people. I can't speak for anybody beyond my own personal experience. And once again, like, I'm not even going to judge other people and what they're doing. If people are finding God, good for them. Good for them. But at the same time, then like be open-minded, open-hearted to not judge other people that have different paths too. See, that's where I'm standing. And although I'm absolutely in love with Jesus, and like I said, my life has been changing, there are things that I don't necessarily fully agree with in terms of ideologies and beliefs within the institution of religion. But once again, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to speak about it. I don't think that it's really necessary to talk on. There's parts of me where it's like, yeah, like Jesus, yes. But there's just parts where, I don't fully agree with it. So why do you think so much of this is happening? I truly believe that we are being pursued, and not in a not in a creepy way like Jesus is coming to get you. Like, it's not like that at all. It's more of Jesus, Yeshua, loves each and every one of us so much. Like, we are that holy family, okay? We come from the same source of creation. So we're family. And when we're here on Earth, like, let's be real. Let's look at the planet. Let's look at everything that's going on in the world. And if we want to even put it in a context of what more religious minded folks would believe, is that the earth is the devil's playground. Yes, God, source divine, has created it, but like the dominion over the earth is not the creator most high. Let's just say it that way. And if you look at the earth and all the war and all the like everything that's happening, kind of makes sense. Apparently, a lot of the backlash that's coming from the spiritual community is that people are leaving the New Age and converting to Christianity and then just turning that into their business. Like, Christianity is the new cash cow. Throughout all of time, Christians have been condemned and persecuted. Like, from a historical standpoint, even now, I don't know. Personally, in my beliefs, I don't know if Christianity is the cash cow or following God and Jesus is like the next quick get rich quick scheme. But that's just my opinion. And truthfully, I didn't know that this was a thing going on. I do believe that Jesus is pursuing us. So I am finding it interesting because I've had people reach out to me because I've been sharing more. And can I also say, talking about Jesus has probably been the last. Wow, I'm getting emotional. talking about Jesus is probably one of the last things I have ever wanted to do in my life. I'm emotional even having to voice that. Like, that's not something that I wanted to talk about. Not at all. And at the same time, because my life has been transforming so much, because my eyes have been opened. And okay, so I'm even going to say this. My eyes have been opened to the love of Jesus. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that is in the institution of religion, like just real talk. I'm not going to judge, though. I'm not going to condemn people. However, there are things where I'm like, I don't really know. I hear that, but I don't really know. But I know Jesus, right? So there's just like that relationship and that connection. Everybody's going to have their own path, their own faith, what they believe, and it's none of my business to point fingers at anybody, nor can I. Nor can I. So yeah, Jesus, the last thing that I would want to talk about ever, and not in an embarrassed way, not in a shameful way. It's uncomfortable, though. I'm being fully transparent to speak about Jesus because there's such a stigma with him, because there's so much religious trauma, because like it's a hard topic to talk about, but at the same time, I can't not share what's going. Like, I've always been open with y'all through my whole journey. Like, yes, I have a business, yes, I'm professional, yes, like my friends on the internet and sometimes strangers on the internet, like, we have relationships, and I strive to be as open and honest and transparent as I can. Am I fully transparent with everything that's going on in my life? No. Do I give pieces of it? Absolutely. But I always want to be open and honest with you guys, even if things are going hard, if things are challenging, if I'd like, I'm always just going to share to my capacity and what I feel will benefit as well. Like, I share the struggles, I share what's going on in my life, in my world, because I know I'm not alone. I know we're not alone. So to hear that, I know it helps people. So I've actually had people reach out to me. This is where it even came into my awareness that there is a new age to Jesus, quote unquote, pipeline, because I was sharing about him. And I've had people reach out saying, oh my gosh, like, they were feeling the same thing. They have been feeling the same thing. They've been feeling him pursue them, but because it's going on so much externally, they weren't sure if it was actually them, or they were picking up in what's going on in the field with like people doing their conversions, which I totally get. So I, like, once again, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm like completely oblivious to it. All I know is that in 2023, July of 2023, I had a personal encounter with Jesus. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Jesus is real. God is real. So all I know is that in July of 2023, I had a personal encounter with Jesus, with Yeshua, whatever names you want to use, and it has changed my life. I'm not the same person. I can't be the same person. And not to say, I was a horrible person before, but once you have Jesus in your life, in your world, like, you become transformed. Who you were before, like, you become transformed. I don't know how to explain it. You think differently, you see things differently, you genuinely love people. I can't even say like Christ. I can't even say that. Like, whew, like, only to be able to love another with like a fraction of that love that Yeshua has. Like, I can't. The love is so immense and unconditional. I believe we're in a revival time. I believe that people are awakening more to the fact that yes, there is a higher power. Yes, we are divinely guided, and we can't do it alone. And I've come from years of powering through, of like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and like, manifest your reality because it's me, I'm doing it. What? Spell work. What? Like, but it's just like, this is the whole thing. It's a manipulation of energy. In my personal belief, as I view where I was and all the things I was doing, no. Yeah, God, source, divine, co-creation, yeah, receiving, absolutely. But it feels like an ego trip of all the things that you're doing. But I was so deep in that. Oh, look at me. Look at all the things I'm doing. Like, I still talk about stuff that I'm doing and like clients that I work with, but I don't know how to explain it. It was very egoic. It was very self-centered. It was very, look at me, look at me. And there's nothing wrong with being seen. There's nothing wrong with visibility, but there's like, well, and then like another thing too, there's different ways that you can have humility as well, right? And that's even, honestly, if I'm being fully transparent, humility was a huge trigger for me. I viewed humility and being humble as weak. I'm like, oh, they're weak, they're meek, but no, like, there's actual there is something to be said about being gracious and humble. I wasn't able to accept that in my own reality until I got humbled, until your girl got taken down a couple notches, not by anybody else, by God, source, divine. Yeah. Yeah. And that has taken, once again, like, allowed me to see things more clearly, to show what that world was like, how I was, how I was operating. And for someone, myself, that claimed to be so heart-centered, yeah, no, once you got Jesus in your corner and you're being transformed to be more like that, like to be in that state of the Christ consciousness, we'll call it, to enter into Christ consciousness. Yeah, no, like, that was not heart-centered. That was not heart-centered. Moments, yes. But now to reflect, no, not really. So the interesting thing that I found with the backlash, and I'd love to hear your reflections on it, or interpretations on it as well, because this has just kind of come into my awareness, is that, yeah, people have completely left the new age and then are now like pushing and preaching Christianity, but like for top dollar, trying to make a business out of it. And so to see that and to hear that, once again, no judgment. People are going to do what they're going to do. You're being in integrity or not. It is what it is. But what if people are actually finding God? What if that's something that's happened? What if they were pursued? Like, it's not just another fad. It's not another trend. What if they're finding God and they don't know what else to do? Or maybe that they're like, they still want to be helping people. They still want to be of service. They don't know anything else to do, because being in the new age community, or being in the spiritual like community, and I'll reference new age because that's what I'm so familiar with. That's been my life. Being in that community, like, it is all about being in a business. It's spiritual, but having a spiritual business, like, at least from my experience of personal experience, and then like working with clients, like, the end goal is that you have your own spiritual healing business. The end goal is that you're a Reiki master. The end goal is that you're a spiritual mentor and guide. Like, that's kind of like the end game of being in the new age, is to have some sort of spiritual business. It just feels like that. So what if these people have been, it's not a pipeline. They've found God, they found Jesus, they've whatever, and they don't know what else to do, because you have to pay, you've got to pay bills. And can I say for myself, I didn't work for about a year, and I feel so blessed that I didn't have to work. Like 2023, when like there was a lot of transitions, and I'm not saying I wasn't working because it's evil and it's wrong. It's just I felt very conflicted in my heart because there were things that I was falling out of love with in my business. And it started kind of started in 2022, but it was like kicking in more 2023, and then July, personal encounter with Jesus, Yeshua, everything changed. It was a natural progression of things that I was falling out of love with in my business, but it was my business. It's like, what do I do? This is like how I've made my living my whole life. So there were some things that I just kind of continued to do, even though my heart wasn't in it. And then there was a point in time where I pretty much I worked minimal. 2024. Yes, I did some global retreats, but I was not working that much. Didn't have my books open. People could not book sessions with me. Very limited. Like I would do in-person things and travel, but like I just shut everything down because I really wanted to kind of reevaluate what was going on within my life, the transformations that were happening, like how I want to be of service. That's been transforming too. And once again, I just have to stress, I feel so blessed to have not had to really work, not have to like bring income in for a year. Like I feel so blessed to be able to say that. This might sound crazy. It got boring. There was an aspect of me even wanting to continue into 2025 and not work, but I didn't want to not do anything. Like I did not want to just not work and not do anything. I started volunteering at a school here in my community because I wanted to be of service that didn't require anything transactional. Just like no monetary transactions, from the purest part of my heart. I just wanted to be of service, to serve. And that's just the beginning. Like there was more, there's more to talk about, which will be for another podcast episode. But it's just like, I didn't want to not do anything. So I started volunteering. It was like, if I'm not going to be doing my job, doing my work, I'm going to do something to be of service. So not to say that this is everyone's experience. Maybe some folks have ditched, they don't resonate with the new age community or that spiritual community anymore, and they're seeing God or Jesus as a cash cow. Like that could be a truth for some people, but at the same time, like maybe because I'm just, once again, from my perspective, because I'm gone through it. I'm going through it still, in terms of wanting to still be of service and to help, but like maybe they don't know any other way. Like as we talked about, the new age, the end goal is to have your own spiritual business and be the Reiki master and do this and do all of that, do all of the things to help and be of service. Isn't that interesting though? It's to help and be of service. So perhaps these people that are being judged as going down the pipeline, it's just like they found God, they found Jesus, they don't know any other way to get by or survive, and so they're just going to what they know. But to make it feel more ethical for them, they're having it around God and Jesus. And I get it. Everybody's journey is going to be different. Nobody's the same. And something that is important to remember, and I think just to be kind and loving with each other, because there's already so much separation and so much divide. And if we want to go to the source of all of creation, like that source of all of creation, like that's where we all have come. We've got different paths, different ideologies, different backgrounds. But if you strip it all away, like that's where we come from. And even being human, like you peel off the skin, there's I'm laughing because maybe not all of us are human, but you peel off the skin, there's going to be blood, There's going to be bones. Like at the end of the day, you strip all of that away. We're in a meat suit. Okay. So I think it's important to be kind and loving. I know it can feel confusing and perhaps even threatening if you see someone that was in the same community as you switching over. Because can I say, like, it feels like such a tricky topic, because I know there's conversions where, maybe it's slow, or, you completely cut off and then point fingers and say, that's evil, you're going to burn in hell, da, 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 da. Like that's not going to do anyone favors, even if you believe you're here to save souls. And even if you believe that to be true, and that's what your religion teaches you, or your belief, like, we'll just keep it at beliefs. Even if you believe that's true, there are other ways that you can share that with people where you're not dumbing it down, you're not making it too digestible, but you're not condemning and pointing fingers and saying like it's all evil, you're going to burn in hell. There's other ways to do it. And that's where some of the triggers come from too, because I used to get so triggered by Jesus. Oh my gosh, so triggered. I had no place or space to even hear. Jeshua, absolutely, like more of the mystical components, the mystical aspects of Jesus, but religion Jesus, I had a real hard time with. And like I said, there's still aspects of the institution of religion that, like, to each their own is where I'll leave that. But I'm sure we could all agree, like, if we looked historically, okay, if we looked historically at the persecution of Jesus, and the character of Jesus, from what we know, right, which would be in documented texts, even channeled information, which would be, whatever. Channeled information speaks on the character too. Like if we're going to look in all of the pots, to explore all of the pathways of who Jesus and Yeshua was, like we could all agree that his character spoke for itself. His character was outstanding, whether you're looking at like more of a biblical aspect, whether you're looking from a Jewish perspective, whether you're looking like the channeled materials, the character speaks for itself. And then even going into the people, the modern day people that are having encounters with Jesus, I'm raising my hand, it's changed my life. The testimonies of that love and how kind he is, like kind and loving, like the love, we could just say this overwhelming unconditional love, like that, over and over and over. There's so many cases of people speaking of this, so we could agree on that. And the judging each other and the putting each other down, like on whatever side of the spectrum you're on, like I feel like if we could give each other more grace and compassion and kindness, our world would be so different. If we could be in that Christ conscious state, our world would be so different. If a fraction, oh my God, it doesn't even have to be the whole world. A small fraction of the world was in that Christ consciousness, we would be in a different world. And like I said, yeah, before I was heart-centered and thought I was kind and loving, and I was, and I could be, but it wasn't the same. Like it wasn't the same or as genuine. Perhaps that's what I'll say. There were aspects that weren't as genuine as they become once you have that role model or guide to work off of, or to utilize, that would be Jesus. right? So it's just different. Let's just say people that were living their lives one way, they're not living it that way anymore. They're living with they're choosing to live the way of the Christed heart. And we all have the capability of having a Christed heart. Could we just say that? Like, we all have the ability. It's a choice. Yes, are you transformed from having a relationship with Jesus, Yeshua? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's a choice too. It is a choice, but not a choice because, oh gosh, I'm going to burn in hell, or ooh, like a man in the sky is wagging his finger at you. No, like that. I laugh because unfortunately the religious trauma we were talking about, yeah, that like maybe it wasn't really a genuine choice because of so much fear, right? So much fear, so much condemnation, but it's, I don't even know how to explain it. If you know, you know. But it's something that's transformed within you, and it's a choice. Like, you don't want to do something that's not going to be kind and loving to another person, even if they hurt you. You forgive. Like, there's just, it's a trip. It's an absolute trip. And why I wanted to do this episode to talk about it is maybe, sure, like some people could have just seen Christianity as like the next cash cow, or Jesus as the next cash cow. Like that could be a reality. We're humans after all, right? We're not perfect. Humans are flawed. So that could be a thing, because maybe it is this revival. So more people are converting, more people are talking about Jesus. Like I said, I did last person I would have ever imagined. I don't even have words, and not something I wanted to talk about. Definitely resisted and resisted and resisted, and then I just couldn't anymore because I couldn't. I could, I guess, it could have been a choice, but then it would have been not that I would have felt like I was lying to everyone and lying to you guys. It's like, I'm going to be straight up with you, even in the challenging times. Just going to speak. I'm going to speak. If you find yourself judging the New Age to Jesus pipeline, I just, in quotations, maybe because the New Age community is so focused on the doing and like being a guru, and like you got like the spiritual business component of it. Like, no wonder if that's all you've known, and then you find God and Jesus, like that could have been part of their experience. And once again, I can't speak for anybody, but I'm just putting that perspective there. But to leave it on the note of how can we be more compassionate, more kind, and loving and understanding to people, right? Knowing that humans are flawed. We're flawed. Yes, we are part of the creation. Yes, we do have that divinity, like our spirit. But at the end of the day, if this would be the devil's playground, okay, we'll just call it that. Of course, like it makes sense. It makes sense. So how can we be more kind, loving, understanding, and know that people are fighting battles we know nothing about? So before you judge someone, before you're cruel to someone else, could you step outside of your charged emotions and have loving compassion and kindness, knowing that people are fighting battles that we don't even know about? Thank you for listening to today's episode. And before you go, I wanted to offer you an opportunity for reflection and contemplation. Was there anything in this episode that inspired you or that you can use in your life moving forward? If so, what was it? Was there something about this episode that triggered you, made you feel uncomfortable? Was there anything that was brought up in this episode that made you feel seen and understood? You can take a moment to bring those reflections into the sacred space of your heart, or grab a journal. And I'd love to hear how this episode impacted me. You can send me a message in socials, leave comments with your reflections. But yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends. I appreciate you. Lots of love. Mwah.